This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
What do Tennessee's 6 players at the NFL Scouting Combine need to accomplish to boost their stock? We'll tell you next. Hey, it's Vince Ferrara here on another edition of Next Level, a show focusing on Vols in the pro ranks in all sports and turning pro even in this edition of Next Level. I am Vince Ferrara, turning pro on the next level in the National Football League, preparing for the NFL Draft as it is NFL Scouting Combine week in Indianapolis. That's our show focus today. And joining me, VFL legend, one of the all-time great running backs at the University of Tennessee. He has joined us on the show before, played in the National Football League, fantastic long-time coach on the college level. He is currently special teams coordinator and tight ends coach at East Tennessee State. That is friend of the show, my man, Jay Graham. Jay, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Vince, man. Good to be back on the show, hanging out with my guy, man. Yeah, it's combine time, man. Combine time, guys, getting their last little workout, stretch, massage, getting ready to get after it here at the combine.
Yeah, those guys wish it was just about massages, right? I mean, that medical is much more than that. But it is. It's like, there's stages. There's the All-Star games, and then people call this the Underwear Olympics, but it's meaningful in a lot of ways. And then you get the pro days, and that's kind of like the 3 stages of preparing for the draft. So real quick, this is a really important week, all joking aside, for guys trying to improve their draft stock.
And that's the thing. A lot of guys say, hey, we can improve it, but, the tape is the most important thing. We never want to forget that. So, a lot of guys are in good position, but in order to bump up, you got to have that special day, right? And it's something they didn't know about you, but they do a lot of research now. They go back to your 4th grade teacher and ask her, how were you? Did you have good conduct? Were you a good kid? They want to know everything about you. And all they're trying to find out in the combine in those interviews is, does it match up? What's your story? And I think that's the most important thing is guys being transparent and being authentic.
So you can find our channel on YouTube. It's at Sports Source Digital Network. Subscribe, like, notify, rate, comment, share, anything you can do, get the word out and help the channel grow. And that's where you will find Next Level, our show on the Sports Source Digital Network. And appreciate you guys doing that. So what do each of the 6 Vols that are at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this week need to accomplish the most to help boost their stock? Let's quickly go one by one on those guys, and we'll ask you, Jay, for your thoughts, and then we'll react. We'll start with James Pearce Jr. Before the season, a lot of people thought, hey, he might be the number 1 player in the draft, might be top 5 pick. Now there's a little bit more of a mixed narrative about him and mixed opinions on him. Some have him middle of the first round. Some have him late in the first round. Some even in some mocks have him outside of the first round. What do you think is the most important thing for James Pearce Jr. to accomplish, all those things considered of what the week is like at the Combine, for him to help his draft stock?
Well, you look at his combine stats, you can see it on tape. Is he fast? Yes. Is he long? Yes. Is he have speed to power? Yes. Is he a game record? Yes, he is. So it really comes down to the thing I think is the desire, the type of energy, presence he has, the way he is he consistent as a person, right? So, you do these things with all these guys, but when you're talking about the top 10 picks or the top 15 picks, there's a difference of $20 million there, right? So you really have to, start weeding out and splitting hairs on athletes. So you put all the best athletes, right, in the country in football, right, in the world, and you put them in this pool of 15. Those differences are key, right? You're gonna be the name of the franchise. You're face of the franchise, right? Who you are, right? And they're looking for that guy that's marketable and everything. So with James, I think the key is going to be those interviews. They're going to ask him some difficult questions. A lot of times they try to, they're going to try to ruffle your feathers and see how you react. They want to know how you react. You're going to a much smaller community of players. You know, you're talking about 53 players. It's much smaller. It's more enclosed. And, you know, that team environment now, because there's a difference now. There's not much disparity between NFL's teams. So the culture is key as far as winning games. So that's really going to play a part. They're going to ask those difficult questions. They're going to put him on the spot. He's going to walk in the rooms with, you know, the franchise in the room. You know, it's going to be different than some other guys, right? His interviews are going to be longer. He's going to have more interviews. So a lot of times people go, well, how can you tell in a day or two, right? They can tell because it's so pressure packed that, you know, most of the time that's going to reveal who you are, your character, you know, in those questions. So he just needs to be authentic. He just needs to, you know, tell your story, man. You know, if he talks about the things that he's had struggles with, just talk about it. You know, this is where I was and this is where I got to. And this is the lessons that I've learned. So, you know, I've heard nothing but good things about him, you know, so, you know, I don't know what people are saying, you know, in the NFL think, you know, when they're looking at him and saying his character concerns. Obviously, Tennessee, he's done well there. He hasn't been a character issue, you know, from what I see, you know, but I'm not involved in the program like that.
Yeah. And Jay, as you know, the scrutiny to your point on what you're saying is intense, especially for those higher picks when you're investing a lot. But, you know, the National Football League, they know everything. So to what you're alluding to, just be real and be honest.
Yes.
What they're checking for. They know the answers. They want to see if you're going to be honest about it and have accountability or remorse if you did make mistakes.
Yes. Spot on. And that's what he needs to do. You know, his play on the field speaks for itself. He'll go out there and he'll run fast as you want him to run. I mean, he's going to explode and he's going to broad jump out of there. I mean, he's going to do things that are unbelievable. You know, he's going to be the most athletic defensive end. He is, you know, most athletic outside backer. He can do all those things. So I'm sure there's a team for him. I couldn't see him falling outside of the first round. I would be shocked if that happens, you know, but it's all about that, going and being honest and being transparent and just telling your story.
All right, so James Pearce Jr. is going to go with those defensive linemen that will go in day one. Tennessee has 3 guys that will go that day. So talked about James Pearce Jr. What about Omar Lott, defensive tackle? Tell me what you think is the most important thing for him to accomplish to boost his draft stock in Indy this week.
He is going to be one of the most explosive guys. He's going to be the surprise of the draft, I really feel like. Only reason I think that is because a long time ago, I went out to Sacramento and watched a young defensive lineman, Omar, you know, go through drills.
Yeah.
And this man was hitting the 5-man sled by himself, okay? He didn't have 4 other guys with him. He was unbelievable the way his abilities, how explosive he is. You got to think about it. He has giant hands. If you think about the things that, you know, NFL teams are looking for, you know, he has long arms. He's explosive. These are the things you're going to see. I hope he's doing everything at the combine because he's going to be one of the most explosive and impressive guys that you've seen in a combine. You know, that's what I believe. You know, we'll see what happens, but he is impressive to me.
Well, Jay, to show off that athletic ability that you were talking about, I think that 3-cone drill would be perfect to kind of start and show that off, like his agility and balance and stuff. That would be one where people were like, whoa, all right, this guy is pretty good, even though he didn't get a ton of snaps at Tennessee.
Yes. And I think you're going to see him in the 40. I mean, that's the thing. He's going to run a fast 40 for his size. You know, I could see him running 5 flat or in that range, you know, or maybe under. I could see him going under. And he's a guy that can play inside and outside. He can go out to the tackle area in a 3-down defense and wreak some havoc.
But he's not so much a head up player. He's like a between like a little bit more on the edge, not really a squared up type of defensive lineman, right? You think that's where he's best in that kind of scheme, right?
Yes, but his arm length. You know, that's the thing you look at. Sometimes people go height, but his arm length allows him to move out and do some things. Right. You know, I'm talking about his arm length is going to be 33 probably in that range. I mean, that is impressive. You don't find a lot of guys 33, 34, 35 arm length. You know, so he's able to move out on a you know, I'm sure he's going to be inside, but he can move out to a 4 in some sets and do some things.
All right, let's move to the third defensive lineman from the University of Tennessee at the Combine here on Next Level with VFL Jay Graham and Vince Ferrara. Elijah Simmons, what's the most important thing for him this week to help boost his draft stock?
Elijah's a great young man. Everybody's gonna love him when he goes to interviews. I think that he's gonna have some questions. Big guys, can you handle your weight? Can you do these things? But I can see everybody in the room smiling when he walks in. He brings in a presence that makes you wanna, you want to be around Elijah. And so his tape is gonna be the biggest thing, and just staying what we think you are when he goes to the Combine, he needs to be. So if he's been working out to this point, or has he been just kind of sitting around, I'm guessing he's been working out, because this happens with a lot of draft prospects. It just, depends. If he's really grinding and staying on the workout, he'll be fine. But they're going to say, hey, some guys are 15 pounds heavier than they were when they played during the season. They're going to know that. They're going to say, hey, you were this much. Why are you 15, 20 pounds heavier? Or something like that. I'm not saying it's going to happen with him, but that's going to be the questions he has to answer.
No, I think that's spot on the weight, because he talked about how much better he felt this year because he was playing around 340, 345.
Right.
I think that's got to be the ceiling for him in weight, right? Anything a little bit less than that. If he shows up, 350, 60, 70, that's going to raise some flags about if he can keep his weight down in the NFL. But 345, is that kind of the that or below for him, you think?
Yes. And I think for him, it's a high, he's a high commodity because of his size and then his athleticism with that. You're talking about block gobblers. You don't have a lot of those guys in the NFL. Those guys, I'm talking about like the Tony Saragusas and the guys that you trying to read as a running back, and it just looked like a mass of humanity in there. He's a big guy that can move. He's athletic. He's got pass rush ability and power, speed to power. So he just has to just, show a good face, make sure he's in the right weight range, in the interviews, just talk about those things. The same thing we talked about in interviews, be honest about where you are, and I think he'll do well.
All right, three more guys of the six from the University of Tennessee at the NFL Scouting Combine. These next three guys are all going to be featured and working out on Saturday if everything goes according to plan. That's when the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the running backs go. We'll start with the wideouts. Donte Thornton Jr., what's the most important thing for him specific to accomplish at the Combine to help boost his draft stock?
I think he's another one that's kind of about him, right? But his production, combine ability, I think his combine ability is going to be very high. I think it's going to be some head turns because I think he's fast. He has great athleticism. He can jump. He can do these things. His interviews, I think, are going to go well. But I think his abilities are going to show up with the rest of. He's going to be head and shoulders above the rest of receivers. He's going to be in that upper echelon group. And for his size, that's impressive. He's going to be next to Omar Lott, Norman Lott. I think Donte Thornton is the next guy that's going to be the most impressive there.
So, Jay, to your point in backing up what you saw on tape, even though Donte Thornton had an improved year, maybe didn't have the massive numbers as some of the top wideouts do, got to catch the ball, right? Because I think catching the ball and then route running or what I've heard some of those national analysts say that they wonder about. So there's opportunities for him to show those things at the Combine, right?
Yes. So it's going to be that day when they're throwing the ball and, they get to the routes and catching the ball and actually running the route tree. So he's going to get a chance to run routes he may have not run as much of, right?
Right.
But I think he's going to show that ability, and it's going to be good. I think he's going to catch the ball well. So he's one of those guys I think is going to have a great workout day.
All right. Brew McCoy also on Saturday. What do you think about him? He's one that obviously has battled some injuries. Is health where you're going? You're going speed. What direction do you think you're going for Brew McCoy if it's one thing to help boost that draft stock?
Well, now you're talking about a culture guy. You're talking about, yes, you got to have ability to even get there, to even get in the room. And he has the ability, but I think what's head and shoulders above everything else is leadership, culture, locker room, along with that. And, when you're looking at him, he's got a body of work. He's got tape to show everything. I think pretty much they're going to ask him about the injuries, how he dealt with those things, right? They're going to ask him how healthy he feels, right? Because what he says and what they see on the, they probably already gone through the MRIs and everything. Yeah. And those doctors are phenomenal as far as saying, hey, this is how long he's probably going to play. This is how long his body can handle it based on the injuries that he's dealt with. So they'll know those things, but they want to know his mindset because that's a key part of it, because he's a young man that's dealt with adversity. And you're going to deal with adversity in the NFL, but he recovered from those things. How do you respond to that? He's able to answer those questions, so they're going to know more about him than a lot of other prospects because he's dealt with more. So I think the key for him is finding the right team. It's not going to be every team for him, but a team that he goes to, I don't see. He's one of my favorites. Brew McCoy is one of a lot of Tennessee fans love Brew McCoy just because of the way he does things and what he's dealt with. I think the same thing is going to happen with the NFL franchises. There's going to be some that fall in love with him. He's not going to be a first, second, third round pick. He's going to be a later round pick. I don't know where, but he's going to be one that if he get in the right organization, he's going to play for 7, 8 years off the dot. Yeah.
Well, I agree with you on the health standpoint and the culture. Some teams are going to overlook some things if they really like him. I think if he can get something, a 40 time and run fast, sub 4.6, I think there's a narrative that he's a big body that's been banged up. If he runs 4.6s or something like that, I think it's probably going to limit teams that will be willing to go with him. But if he can run fast, I think that might open some doors and say, all right, maybe he has gotten healthier in his back. All right, one last guy here. We're going to close it out strong with one of the most popular Vols in Dylan Sampson, running back. What, in your opinion, is the single biggest thing that he can accomplish in Indy at the Combine to help boost that draft stock?
I think just, showing how marketable he is because, with running backs, there may be one picked in the first round, right? And then from that point on, it goes second round, a couple, and third round. So if you're the sixth running back taken, you're third round, fourth round, right? So, that battle is going to be the interviews, It's going to be those little things. I think he's going to run fast. He's going to roll out there now. Okay. I don't know how fast it's going to be, but it's going to be close to, what Jalen Wright runs. He's going to be in that range. Okay. He's going to be in that range. I don't think he's as fast as Jalen, but he's going to run fast. He's going to work out well. He's going to catch the ball well. His workouts are going to be phenomenal. It's just, how finding the right team who needs that style and he's the right fit, right, for that team that's going to determine where he goes in the draft. So his combine is going to be great. I think his interviews are going to go well. With running backs, just finding the right team that wants you. You're interviewing for a job when you go in there. So that's what those guys got to understand, and I'm sure he understands that.
I don't think anyone is going to crush the interviews better than Dylan Sampson. That guy has it all. He's going to be great from that area. I agree with you on the 40 time. I wonder if he can get in somewhere in that 4.4s. I think is plenty good. He's a former track guy, so he should be able to run fast. I've heard some national analysts like Daniel Jeremiah say, hey, I'm not, he played really fast on the field in games. I'm not sure he's going to run as fast there. That surprises me a little bit. I think that would really raise some eyebrows to back up playing fast on tape to run a good 40 time. And then, Jay, let me ask you about this. On another one of the criticisms, too, for him is, in some matters more than others, one is his size and durability to hold up. What does he show up at in terms of weight? Is he 205? Is he 210? Is he more than that? He added weight. Is he sub 200? I think some are going to, just from a durability standpoint, the NFL are going to wonder about that. And the other thing, I don't know if you tell me, pass pro, is that something that the NFL, you have to be able to do that if you're going to be a third down back? Is that something that you think there are any drills where you can show that? Or is that something that teams are just going to have to hope and project that he can get better at in the NFL?
I think you're right in a lot of ways. Pass pro is important. The biggest thing that I saw with him is improvement in pass pro. That was his biggest improvement from the year before. Mm-hmm. Yes, the yards are great. yes, he showed durability. You got to remember, we're playing in the toughest conference in the SEC. And having the ability to gain the yards and to get him as many carries as he did in the SEC shows you durability. So that's proven. Now he's had a couple things, here, a couple nicks here and there. But, having that, your frame is more important to me because there's different types of 205. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think his frame, they're going to look at his arm and shoulder, width and all those things. I think he has the frame. You look at guys who are playing in the NFL right now, he has the frame. It's not one running back, other than Saquon, that's getting all the carries. Most of the time it's running backs doing it by a committee. So the things that he brings to the table is he can be an auxiliary back. He can be the guy. Right. And he's going to need some help and he's going to have help. But his route running ability is the difference. You look at the McCaffertys and the different people in the world. I think he fits in that mold. I'm not saying he's going to have a career like McCafferty. He can. Right. He can. And that's the key. He has the ability to do those things. So running routes, doing this stuff like that. But pass protection is going to be key for him. And I think he's shown that. But go back to the 40 time, I just really feel like he's going to run at least in that high 4.4 to lower, Now, if he's out of that range, that does affect it. But I think his acceleration, because they break that 40 down. Right. You don't know how fast you accelerate the first 10, right? Are you running 1.4, or 1.3 or whatever you're running there? That tells you a whole lot. And at the end, are you still getting faster? They look at all different aspects of that 40 to see what the difference is, as far as your abilities and how that correlates to your tape.
Awesome insight. Jay, really appreciate you. Good luck with everything here in the off season. You guys are grinding every day of the calendar year, but appreciate you. And hopefully we'll be able to get you back on soon. Great to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, Vince, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. That is Jay Graham, VFL great, one of the best all time at the University of Tennessee. All right. Let's get into our top 5. It's time for the top 5 VFL performances on next level here, and we're focusing on the pros in the NBA since the All-Star weekend. So we'll run through this top 5, and hopefully you can see it. I will cover myself up for a quick second here so you can see this top 5. We'll start with Julian Phillips of the Chicago Bulls. A loss in overtime to the New York Knicks, 12.6 rebounds, 23 minutes, 60% from the floor, had a steal and 67% from three-point range. Great game for Julian Phillips. Keon Johnson of the Nets, a win over Philadelphia, 11 points in 31 minutes of action, which is huge. 45.5% from the floor, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block. That is getting it done. Nice job by Keon Johnson, who's really grown into a nice role for the Brooklyn Nets. 3, Tobias Harris, one of 2 games he shows up. He's with the Pistons, win over the Clippers, 20 points, 5 rebounds. How about 69% from the floor and 67% from three-point range? Couple of assists in the win over LAC. And number 2, his performance for the Pistons in the win over San Antonio, 22.7 rebounds, 80% shooting from the floor. How about that? 67% from three-point range, 2 assists, 2 steals. And then at number 1, yes, that guy, and Connect 4, Dalton Connect, but not in an actual NBA game, but in All-Star Weekend. He was a part of the Rising Star All-Star games, ended up being on Candace Parker's Rising Star team that was in the Final Four. In that one, he had 8 points, couple of three-pointers, a 2-handed dunk as well. He also played well in the prior game, playing for Chris Mullin on Team C that got them into that Final Four. So Dalton Connect showed out well, part of All-Star Weekend because of the format this year. So well done for Dalton Connect. Hey, be sure to check out Sports Talk with John and Vince, John Wilkerson and myself each weekday morning from 6 until 9 on 99.1 The Sports Animal. We're streaming on the Sports Animal app, 991thesportsanimal.com, and on your smart speakers. John and I, of course, calling Tennessee baseball as well, the number 1 team of the country, defending national champions, and you can check those games out on the Vol Network and at utsports.com. Follow me on all the socials at Vince Sports. Thanks to Jay Graham. Thanks to John Pennington. Thank you so much for watching here on Next Level. And next week, we will look back and analyze what those 6 Vols, the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, did and what it means for them, for their draft stock to the NFL. You guys have a great one. Thanks so much. This is Next Level, focusing on the pros here on the Sports Source Digital Network. See ya.